You might have the idea by now that spreadsheets are dry and boring and all to do with finance and money and things like that. And of course, you're right, but they can also be about other things. So, because a spreadsheet can do calculations, it can do anything that a calculator can do. And you can use that to create some very handy little apps in Excel. So I've set up a little thing here. It's called my handy conversion calculator. And my wife is always asking me, how Fahrenheit, how many is it in Celsius, or how many miles, or pounds to kilograms, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to create some calculations here. I'm going to do four of them. And obviously for your assignment 6, please go ahead and do some other ones. So do at least about 5 or 6 different types of calculations that you find handy most of the time. So I've set it up like this, and you'll notice that I've got quite big blocks here. Those rows are quite tall, but these ones are quite small, and it would be nice if they were the same size. So the way to do that is I'm just going to select, okay, I'm selecting those rows. I'm hovering over the gray area here where the numbers are for each row. And if I right click, then I can go to row height and I can type in a height. Now, I'm going to do a bit of a thumb suck, and if it's too small, I'll make it bigger. If it's too big, I'll make it smaller. So I'm going to choose 30 and click OK, and to my mind, that seems about right. I'm just going to format this a little bit. I think that should be centered rather than anything else. Okay, so I'm now happy. So the whole idea is that I will type in something in Fahrenheit, in Celsius, in miles, in kilometers. I will type in here, and automatically the conversion will show over here. So let me just type in some values. Let me say 100 Fahrenheit. Let me say 32 Celsius. Let me say 8 miles, 5 kilometers. And I think these need to be centered. So I'm going to center them vertically, middle align, and I'm going to center them to the center. I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to have vertical and left-right alignment to the center. And let's make this nice and bold. And what's going to happen here is going to come out bold and, let's say, italics. And I'm going to put a light shading in here because really this is something that, tell you what, let me put in lighter and then slightly darker. Okay. There's a kind of convention when you're filling in a form that you fill in a blank space, and anything that's shaded you don't fill in. So you can use that when you're designing spreadsheets and you want people to enter somewhere. Keep that blank, and then anything which is shaded is somewhere where someone's not going to want to type. And you can also do fancy things like just put a little bit of shading all around, just to make the thing look a little bit more attractive. If I click on View, I can also untick the grid lines, and then it'll look like it's on blank paper. I've already put in bar lines here, so and I did that, of course, by going Home and by clicking on All Borders to create that effect. So now we need some formulae, and we need to type the formulae in here to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. Now, I can never remember what those conversion tables are, so I've gone onto the internet here, and you can see that to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit is that way. Let me just change that, Fahrenheit to Celsius. So it's saying what you need to do is minus 32 and times by 5 over 9. If you click on the how do you convert easily, it says subtract 32 and multiply by 0.5556 or 5 over 9. So you can do it that way as well. So I just go into where I want the Celsius to appear. It's a formula, so it starts with, you know this by now, yep, an equal sign. So I type in equals, and then I click on the cell B4 where the Fahrenheit is. So whatever it is, and that can change, I can type in whatever Fahrenheit I want. Okay, it's going to that cell to collect whatever is in that cell, not that particular number, 100. And then you subtract by 32. So you subtract 32, and then you multiply by 0.5556. When I click enter, it says 82. Now I know that that's not right, just from common sense. So I've made a mistake. So where's the mistake? And if I click back in my formula, you'll notice that it says minus 32 times 0.5556. Now, when I was at school and still doing maths, we were taught to do the multiplication first. But what I got to do is I got to do the subtraction first and then the multiplication. So if I just put that B4 minus 32 in brackets, then it'll force the computer to do that subtraction first and then multiply by the 0.5556 or 5/9. And I go enter, and it goes 37.7808, which is about right. So you can test that. If I go and I halve that, it goes to 10 degrees, and I think that's basically right. So if I go 67, for example, it's up to 19, and that seems to be calculating correctly. Now I can go and do the one for Celsius. So I just change my my view here, and you can see it's timesing by 9/5 and then plus 32. So if I Celsius to Fahrenheit, the fast way is a simple trick you can use. Multiply the temperature in degrees by 2 and then add 30 to get the estimated. Well, that doesn't seem quite right. So let's do the full version here. So start with, an equal sign because it's a formula. And then whatever that cell is, whatever the Celsius is, I've got to multiply by 9/5, 9 divided by 5, and then I've got to plus 32. And I mustn't forget that my brackets must go around that B5 times 9/5. And it goes to 89.6. Well, let's see. We had 37 point something, getting roughly 100. That seems right. If we go 98.6 here, we should get 37 near as damn it over there. So that seems to work. Now, miles to kilometers. So I'm just going to type in miles to kilometers. And for how do you calculate miles to kilometers? So is equal to the distance in miles multiplied by 1.609344. Okay, so let's do that. So we go in here and we say equals. Whoops, I got the wrong cell. Control Z allows me to go back. So it's equals whatever it is in the miles multiplied by, what is it? 1.609344, and I've got 12 kilometers. And if I want, let's take that 8 miles. Whoops, let's change that to 8 just to test that. 12.87. So that's working. Now, if I want kilometers to miles, I just type that into Google. Strikes me, instead of doing a spreadsheet, we could just use Google. But anyway, so convert kilometer to miles. And no, I want that. I want the easy one. 1 kilometer is equivalent to 0.6214 miles. So we're going to go equals that cell times 0.6214. And so 5 kilometers is 3.107 miles. So we'll test that over here. 5 kilometers, 3.10686. Well, that's rounding errors there. So create your own calculator. Use meters to inches, whatever it is. Create your own set of conversions and post it as assignment 6.